writing board so that I can make the things clear to you. So it is opening my open board. Right. So I have created my key vault. So this is my key vault. Now in the key vault, I told you we have keys section, we have secrets. And in the secret section, I have added the key value pair. So the key and the value. So the key is mycon and value is hello world, which is stored in an encrypted format. We have certificates and we have another section called access policies, where it has given me as an owner a permission to work with them. Now I have an application running. So I can host my application in containers. I can host my application as a web app, which we have discussed on the day one. So web app. So I have a web app service, right? Web app service where I have hosted my web application. Now this web application is hosted in my Azure only. And in this, I have a page one where I'm writing a code to get this value. So every key value pair has its own URI. So let's say it is URI1. So in this page, I submit a request with a URI. So my request will go, and this request has a URI. So it will go to the URI, and then you will get a result. But in the result, you will not get the value. You will get access denied, 403, permission error, forbidden. Why? Because your address is good, but it doesn't know who has submitted the request, right? So it will say access denied. I can't allow you to work with it. If I come to your home and you don't know who am I, so you can't allow me to enter into your home, right? So that is the problem. So what we need before submitting a request, I need to request for service principal object. Service principal object. So I have two ways of doing it. One with the registered app, as I was talking about, which we have seen. And second is managed identities. Managed identities. So I told you about registered app, that what is the problem with that, right? We have seen a demonstration of it as well. So I don't want to use registered app because it is a bit complicated, because if I want to communicate with it, I have a lot of code that I need to write. I have to use certificate, all the secrets, which can change, right? So I can use this, but this is not a preferred approach when my application is running in the cloud. So I can use managed identities. I will talk about managed identities later. Suppose I request the managed identity, right, to work with it. How? So at a service level, I enable system assigned managed identity. System assigned. System assigned. Managed identity, I have enabled it. So in my code, I have request my web app to give me the service principal object with this system assigned. Now I will submit a request again. Now this time, my request has the URI plus service principal object, means a token. Now still, when I get a response, I will get forbidden. Forbidden. This is the message I'll get. Why? Because you have submitted your token, but key vault does not know anything about it. So key vault says that maybe you have a valid token, but I don't know what permissions to be granted. So in that case, I have to do the last thing. In access policy, I will say that if any request comes from the token with the service principal that is generated by web application service principal, means this one, right? Or managed identity, just giving an example, managed identity, right? Then I would like to give on secrets, I would like to give get permission and a list permission only. So you say that I want to access this URI with get. So it will check this token. that who has generated this token. This token is generated by system assigned identity that is related to web app. Yes, it is the same one. So I will allow you to work with the get and list, and you want to work with get. So I'm not going to give you this. I will give you 200 success, means this value back. So this is the whole process that you will going to work with, right? So that is the managed identities. Now, when we talk about managed identities, we have two types of managed identities. We need to discuss that. Managed identities. One is called system assigned. Another is a user assigned. Now, system assigned basically is created as part of the resource. It is created as part of service or resource. Like you and your passport, me and my passport, right? So my system assigned identity is my passport. Your system assigned identity is your passport, right? I cannot use your one. You cannot use my one. That's the main concept. And if something happens to me, then my passport will also get deleted, right? So this is a, let's say, web app, right? Where when I enable the system assigned identity, it will generate an identity, let's say identity one. Now, this identity associated is with this web app. If you delete this web app, this identity is also get deleted. So life cycle of this identity is based on the idea of the life cycle of the application or the service, which is where it has been generated, right? Now, that's what we discussed. Now, user assigned identity. It is created independently. It is created independently. And any service or resource can share it. Share it. It has its own life cycle. It has its own life cycle. We have to delete it manually. Like, think about you, this is your company, and you joined the company, another person joined the company, and so on. So your company says that you should possess the same identity, because when you come to me, I don't know you, I know your company. So company has given me the company's card, company card, right, company card. And now the same card is created here with the company, and that card is shared by you all. So whenever anyone comes to me with that card, I will trust you because you have the same card which I have. I'll compare it, and then I will give you certain permissions. So you all will get same permissions what I have given to the people, to this card. So I say that any request comes with the card, I'll give you certain permissions. No matter who brings that card, that permission will be given. Now you leave the company, this person leave the company, this person leave the company, card is still there, because new person who joins the company will share it. If I need to update it, I have to delete this card and create a new one, right? So that is what user assigned identity is. It is created independently. It is shared by the services, right? So that's the idea behind it. Now, why to use system assigned and why, when to use user assigned? So let's say I have an application one, I have an application two, and application three. Now, I have a key vault. In key vault, I have keys, I have secrets, and I have the search certificates section, right? Certificates. Now, access policies. If I want that each app will get different permissions, right? I want to give different permission to every app. So I'll say that you can have your own system assigned identity. So it says that SI is my identity, SI1, sorry, SI2 is my identity, and SI3 is my identity. So I can say that if any request come with SI1, I will give permission to work with key one, keys with get. If any request comes with SI2, they work with secret and keys with get and list. And if any request comes with SI3, I will give to work with certificates, get certificate. You can think about. So when request comes from here with this token, so this request can only get to play with get method on the key. If they try to access any other thing, it will get an error. So if I want to give different permissions to the resource, right, then I can go with the system assigned identity because I have a full control on that which identity can do what. But think about the case if each application wants the same thing. Let's say SI1 also, I want to give him this keys, secrets. On this, I want to give get and list. Same thing I would like to go with SI2, SI3. So I have to make the same entry multiple times, right? It is hard to manage. If I need to change it, I have to change it at 3 places. If there are 100 applications, 100 resources, so I have to make 100 entries here. So it is very much difficult. I thought about that they all want same permission, so there must be an easiest way. So I say that, yes, I will create a user assigned identity, UID, and I can attach it with all of them. Right. And then I can say that in this, I don't want to give permission like that. Right. I can say that now, if any request comes with UID, right, I will give them permission to work with secrets and keys. And what permission? Get and list. Get and list. Now, any request comes. So I will write a code that, hey, I want to get a token based on the user ID, UID, based on this managed identity. I might have this as well, but I can request that I want to get a token from this UID. So my request will have the URI plus token that is generated with the UID. So it will get that permission. So it is easy to manage, right? So we can go with user assigned identities when we want to grant same permission to multiple applications. And even if this applications get deleted, this UID is still there. But these system assigned identities will get deleted because they are a part of that. If I want to be deleted, I have to explicitly delete it. So that is the managed identities, right? So if I go back to the slide, implement managed identities, we'll see the difference between the two, which we have talked about. Now it is easy for you to understand. We have two types of managed identities. One is system assigned managed identity, which is enabled directly on a Azure service instance, and a user assigned managed identity, which is created as standalone Azure resource. Now, the characteristics, as I was talking about creation. So system assigned managed identity is created as part of the Azure resource, right? Like on virtual machine, app services, functions, it will create it there. But user assigned managed identity is created independently. Life cycle, it share the system assigned identity, share the life cycle with the resource that the managed identity is created with. So when you delete the resource, the managed system assigned managed identity will also get deleted. But user assigned managed identity is not deleted when the resource which is using it is deleted because it is not created with that. It is created independently. And that resource is just sharing it. Now, system assigned identity cannot be shared. It is used with that resource only where it is enabled, like you and your passport. I cannot use your passport. But user managed identities can be shared between multiple resources, right? Like your company card can be given to all the employees which work there. So that is the concept between the system managed identity and user assigned managed identities. So these are the sources, main sources where you can enable the managed identities, virtual machines, app services, functions, container instances, storage, Kubernetes service, and so. And then with that managed identities, I can access any resource that is running in the cloud, like your application, Key Vault, and so on. Now, let's see the practical little bit on that. So this is my Key Vault, and you can see I have I'll go with access policies. So I have only one access policy, means current logged in user has a permission. Now let me duplicate this tab. I will show you that I have created a web app. So Okay, let me show you that web app is there. App service, Key Vault web app demo, right? Key Vault web app demo is there. This is the web app. Now, in this web app, I have deployed an application, but let's see which application I'm talking about. So let's say I'm opening the application, which is a MVC application. It is a website. Now you will come to know that how I am working with my Key Vault, right? So whatever phases I have discussed with you in open board, it comes into the picture now. So first of all, with errors, then how to solve the errors, everything I will show to you one by one. So this is an application, right? It is a website that I have created it. So this website basically has, just give me a minute, or I can create a new application. Just give me 1 sec, please. So I want to show you how programmatically my application can talk to the Key Vault. So when I try to talk to the Key Vault, first of all, it says that, hey, I want to get a token, right? And then using that token, I want to talk to the Key Vault with the service section, and I want to read the value. So this is the code that I have created. So it is a web application, which has a home controller. And when you open this page, you call the index method of it. So index method says that, okay, what I'll do is I would like to communicate with the Key Vault. So I have added the SDK here. So if you go to the packages, you will see I have added a package called azure.security.keyvault.secret. So it means that it will give me the classes to work with the secret section of the Key Vault. If I need to work with the certificates or the key section, I have to add a package called azure.security.keyvault.keys or certificate. So I can get that package. But here I get the SDK, which is all about secrets. Now, what I did is I imported that namespace. I imported that namespace from that package so that I can use the classes of it. So in that method, I created a secret client option object where I define that if your request fails, so how to retry that. So I said that wait for 2 seconds, and then you can retry it again, maximum 5 times, right? So this is just an example that they have given. Now you can see that I am writing a code. So this code is doing actually two things. If I uncomment this one, so first is about how to communicate with the Key Vault using a user assigned managed identity. And this one is for managed identities. So first of all, I'll show you with system assigned managed identity. So what I did is I created an object of secret client. This secret client says that I know you want me to talk to the secret section of the Key Vault, but which Key Vault? So I provided the URI of the Key Vault. So my Key Vault cw.vault.azure.net. So here, if you look into it, it is the demo one. So I have created another Key Vault. So let me show you that. So I go to home. So right, sorry. I'll go to home here and I will open that Key Vault which they're talking about. So I'll go to the resource group and then I will click on the Key Vault that I have. Just give me a minute. Home. I'll go to the resource groups. I went into my resource groups. So I have a resource group that is Cloud Week Day 4. So in that, I have a lot of resources available. So I'm looking for the Key Vault. So this is the Key Vault, my Key Vault CW, and I copied this URL and I'll paste it here just to show you that which I'm using it here. So it is my keyword CW. And in this, I have a secret, which is called mycon, right? So I want to read the value of it. So what I did is here, I say that new URI is https://mykeywordcw.vault.azure.net. So it means that in this particular keyword, go to the secret section. But I need to get a credentials. So I'm using a new default credentials. So when I'm using a new default credentials, it will check that this code is running in which resource, maybe in app service. So it is asking that app service, hey, give me the token. So I'm assuming that the managed identity, system assigned managed identity is enabled on that. And I'll get a token and then with the options, I created my secret. Now I am asking my client to get secret, mycon. So this client knows that I have to go to this keyword. Within that, I have to go to secret section with this credentials, and I would like to connect to this mycon and get the value of it. And then this secret will fetch its value. I put that into a view data that is basically a cache mechanism to pass the data to the forms. So I called the view which is associated with that, and I printed the value of that connection here. But when I deploy this application, system assigned identity is not enabled. So this will throw an error. So what I did is I right click on that and then I publish this. So when I publish this, I have created a profile, right, that will going to deploy it in a web app. So I have created a profile that will going to publish it in a resource called Key Vault Demo Web App Demo. So that is this application, right? This Key Vault Demo Web App Demo. So this is the web app where I have published it. So when I click publish, it will going to publish it there, right? So it will take some time, but I have already deployed it for you. Now in this web app, there is an identity section where you will see that there is two options. One is system assigned and user assigned. So I'm turning it off. Means there is no system assigned identity available, right? No system assigned identity. It is disabling it. Okay, it is disabled. There is no system assigned identity. And even user assigned identity, there is nothing into it. So now if I try to explore this website, which is published here, so you will see that it will throw an error. That is the first case. I directly try to submit my request to the key vault, right, without any token. So I copied this and I pasted that URI here. No, sorry, this is the key vault one. My bad. So I'll go to the overview of the web app, essentials, copy this URL and pasted it here. So it will give me an error. I'm expecting an error because my code says that, hey, give me the token, then only I will submit a request to the key vault, right here. But the web app says that I don't have managed identity, so there is no token. So you don't get any value from the key vault. Then I realizes that, okay, that is a mistake. So I'll go with the identity section. And what I'll do is I will enable the managed identity. But before that, I just want to show you very interesting thing, what is happening behind the scenes. Because you should know what is happening behind the scenes. It will internally register your app. I don't have to manually register an app. It will automatically do it, right? So that is the importance of this. Okay, so if you click here, you will see that I have a home part and I'll go to my Active Directory. And here I have enterprise applications. In enterprise application, you will be able to see the details, right? So I will search for registered app. There is an option for, just a second, add filter, registered app. Just give me a minute. Why it is not showing me that? Managed identities. So I choose application type is managed identities. I have only three options. I have created a user side identity, which is there. Now you can see when I enable this, I click save. So it will generate a new entry automatically here. So once it is created, you will see a new entry will be added automatically. So it takes a little time to show the value here. Enabled. So it has added this, right? So you can see here, when you come here and refresh it, you will see a new entry is added automatically. Yes, now you can see that. So there is a managed identity created again. So this is my application name. This is the object ID and this is the application ID. So with this application ID, this object ID is generated. Right. Right. So now I can request a token. So Active Directory will give me a token. Now, if you run that code again, you will again see an error. Why? Because the keyword that you try to access it does not give the permission. You have a valid token in your request, but the keyword does not give you the permission. So I went to the keyword and I click on access policies. And then I can say that I would like to create a new access policy where I will decide what permissions need to be granted. So I want to give permission on the secret, which get enlist next to whom. So I will search for that application, my keyword, or just keyword demo app, this one. So I selected it. Means if any requests come from that particular application with the service principal, then I would like to give these permissions. So this is object ID 6F33, which is the S1, 6F33. So if any requests come with this object ID, right, token with this object ID, then I would like to give these permissions create. So now you have updated the permission as well. Now everything is good. It should give me hello world. So this is how I can use keyword, right, to securely access my resources. So that is the beauty of it. Now you can also work with a user assigned identity, but to work with a user assigned identity, you have to create it independently. So you have to type user assigned managed identity. You click on the user assigned managed identity, and then you have to create it here, right? So you just choose the resource group in which you want to create, what name you want to give, and click review and create. I have created a UID. I have created one user assigned managed identity with the name UID, right? Now I show you that it is there. So it will automatically get registered into it. It will be available here, right? UID. Now, if you want to use it, so go to the keyword, you click on user assigned identity, add, you are referring it. So you will be able to find UID here and you are just attaching it. So it gets attached. So every user assigned identity has a unique value for it. So once it get added, right, you can see this is the subscription ID where it is available. So you click on the UID so that you can see the details of it, and you will be able to find the client ID. You can see that this is the object ID, right, that you will be working with. That's a principal ID. So in your request, if you don't want to use the system assigned identity, you can comment it. And then you say that I want to create a new secret client with this URI, and I want to pass credentials. And credentials basically are a new default credentials where I'm defining the options of the credentials, which client ID I want to use, managed identity client ID. So I will pass the ID that is this one. So it means that I am telling my secret object that you have to connect to the keyword secret section by using the credentials that are generated by the user assigned identity UID. And then when you submit your request, you can get your results. So this is how it works. And then in the keyword, you have to give the permissions to that as well. So you have to go to the keyword and you have to add another permission, right? So you will click create, and then you have to select the permissions that you need. Now, you are not aware about which application is using it. You say that any request come from UID, right? I will give them permissions. So this is the way by which you can grant permissions, right, to the user assigned identity. So any application which is referring it can access the key vault with the permission that is listed here. So that is the idea behind it, right? So next is how to configure the managed identities. Whatever I configured it graphically, you can configure it with CLI. So at the time of creating your virtual machine, there is one tag that you can define dash dash assign identity. As soon as you type it, means you want to enable the system assigned identity with the resource. But if you want to work with the user assigned identity, you have to create it first. So you have to say AZ identity create in which resource group, name of the identity. So you created that identity. Then whenever you are creating your resource like virtual machine, if you want to attach this user assigned identity, you have to add a parameter called dash dash assign identity, but with the name of the user assigned identity. So in this case, you are attaching your user assigned identity with your resource. So that is the way it works with. And as I discussed with you, you can configure your and communicate with your key vault with SDKs, which are available in different programming languages. I've shown you an example in .NET. Sorry, let me go to the last slide. Yeah, this is what I told you. I have shown you my example in which you can communicate with the key vault, right, using your code. But here they are trying to communicate with the blob client, right? So the module is about key vault, so I have shown you the key vault specific example. Here, the motive is to tell you how to use your credentials. So here they are using a default credentials and they are adding a default credential options with the managed client identity. Means they want to use the user assigned identity. If you are not providing any parameter in the default credentials, if you are just opening it and closing it, means you want to work with system assigned identity, right? So that is the way by which as a programmer, you can decide whether you want to use user assigned